Hello, how are you? I'm here to tell you about Bowflex treadclimber. Oh, this is exciting stuff. The machine is called the Bowflex treadclimber. The treadclimber combines the motions of a treadmill, a stepper, and an elliptical into one beautiful machine. It's 3 workouts in one fluid motion. You can't touch it, folks. All you have to do to lose weight is walk. That's it. Wow, walk. Bowflex recommends just 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's it. Ooh, how great is this? Bowflex did a study at Adelphi University that showed the TRC can burn up to 40% more calories than a stepper, can burn up to 2 times the calories of a treadmill. Wow, these are 2 ways to request the treadmill info kit. There are 2 different ways. Call Bowflex at 1-800-436-6063. I'm going to hit you with that number again. Watch this. 1-800-436-6063. Wow. Request one online if you wish. www.walkwithkevin.com. Easy enough. It's easy peasy. So, what's in the info kit, you ask? I hear you. The full-color glossy brochure that describes the treadclimber's unique motion 3-in-1 design, available models, financing offers, etc. Also, a free DVD so you can see it in motion and learn more about the machine. And finally, bonus. Ooh, bonus. We love bonuses. The Bowflex Insider's Guide, which includes a free fitness assessment, 6 weight loss secrets anyone can use to start losing weight today. Forget yesterday. We're talking about today. Info on nutrition, superfoods, and more. Hey, did I mention it was free? Enjoy your Bowflex treadclimber today. And then that happened. It's Jerry Lewis, ladies and Jews. They're loaded. They come one after another. Why don't you put them in the TriCaster? You can't pull that shit out. Welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. Who the hell are you? We are pre-taping. You know, we're not particularly fond of that version of doing a show. We like the live thing, and I'll tell you why. Because no one cares. But we're pre-taping because this Saturday night is such a huge gathering of birthday celebration for one of our family here that we're guessing rather than doing a show with a hangover, we should just really wait. That's not the reason. Jamie, is that slightly accurate?
Oh, for me.
For you?
Yes. I didn't want to work hungover. And I didn't want to have to haul ass back from Anaheim.
Right.
Because we're going to party it up at the Mickey Mouse penthouse.
Hello,
I'm excited.
Jew haters, wherever you are. Oh, he's dead. Walt, in particular. Sammy, are you going to go into the tank as well? When you are you?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to drive back that night, but I see no reason not to drive very drunk.
You see no reason.
No reason.
Like California laws. Pish posh.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be fine.
Okay, well, I'll give you the 800 number.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. DUI. Now, so big festivities Saturday night. Should be exciting. There'll be giant hoagies. There'll be fireworks out the balcony. There'll be, who knew there was a Mickey Mouse penthouse suite? It's a little fantastic if you're of mind.
I got to visit it. I got to check it out. And it's pretty. And it is a sweet suite.
And there's going to be an animator there. There's going to be a real live.
I'm not sure if the animator is going to teach us how to draw or if she's going to draw for us. Yes, but it'll be great because the whole room is done up in like it's to celebrate Mickey and the animation of Mickey. It's not really all about all the characters. It's about like drawing, like it's like rough sketches of Mickey all over the walls and stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, I had a caricaturist at my bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
See, I like activities, and I also am a child.
You like theming, you
I like theming.
activities, and you like everything Disney.
I do.
You can't be persecuted.
I am
for
a
these.
child.
Well, and I am a very, very happy,
But booze
happy
is involved.
fiancé that you are such a child. What?
So,
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and there's your explanation as to why this happened in the past. You're not buffering.
Oh.
I think it might be time for the Jerry Lewis photo they attempted to put up.
Oh, is that what that was?
To continue the story that we started here under the heading of I just got off the phone with Jerry Lewis to catch up some of you up on the goings-on. After my recent stand-up special debuted on the Showtime network, which I think is the third choice for stand-ups now. It's HBO and then Comedy Central. Then if you can't get any of those, you go right to Showtime. Called The Littlest Suspect. So I get a call out from Mount Rushmore from Jerry Lewis, who I don't know, who says, I saw the special. It was fantastic. It was the best I've seen in 25 years. Robin, all of them, blech. Wait, I've got notes. Right? Funny. Turns out he wasn't making the joke we thought he was. He had written down notes so that he could reference what we would say during the phone call that we were having. Wait, here it is. When you kick the mic stand when you first come out, did you have to join a separate union? Because that was fun. And he's going down a list of things, and it was the most adorable, and I was levitating, and it was really something. So we finally met up after 5 phone calls in the Las Vegas where he's lived for many, many years. And we had lunch, and there's a couple of photos that there we are walking through the Bellagio shops on the way back from lunch. And then there's one more, I think, a little closer. Yes, he's 86. What's your point?
Who's the top in the relationship?
Whoa, wow.
I'm just curious.
Wow, you went downtown.
What?
Thank you, Sammy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Take the rest of the minute off.
Very well.
So anywho, that was pretty great and a really great lunch. And he brought gifts. He brought a new DVD collection of 10 Jerry Lewis movies.
And a set of funny teeth.
And a set of funny teeth. That's exactly right. You have to wear the funny teeth every time you watch the movies, or they don't feel right. So that was amazing, and I wanted to catch those of you up. Hey, it's time for Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin.
Thank you. We'll tighten that up in editing. This first Ask Kevin comes to us from, I'm going to go ahead and read it. Earl Eady. Earl Eady? What do you think of Ricky Gervais' performance at the Golden Globes? Didn't see it. We were doing a show here. Saw some recap snippets and some written versions of it. And if you're asking about his snarkiness and why he got attacked by some, I enjoyed every square inch of it. He's one of the funniest human beings on the planet. And boy, oh boy, is that my sense of humor in terms of taking the piss out of the people in the room in a situation like that. I couldn't think of any better way to do it, quite frankly. And my hat off to him. Would be my answer, Earl Eddie. Those of you that want to write to the Ask Kevin, by the way, it's contact@kevinpollak'schatshow.com. Ask Kevin number 2 from Jason the Daddy. Dear Chat Show, we are loving MDMD. $1 Million Money Drop? You son of a bitch. But it begs the question, how do you keep your composure when a decorated Marine puts $1 million on what is so obviously the wrong answer? Also, how do they keep anyone in the audience from screaming, FDR, you moron? Do you have any entertaining off-air moments you could share with us, your loyal fan, Jason the Daddy? First question, first of all, when it's 3 questions in one, you really need to go fuck yourself. It's 1 question per customer, let's be clear. So I'm going to pick one of these. How do I keep my composure for when a decorated Marine puts $1 million on what is obviously the wrong answer? It's brutal. That is absolutely the brutal part, because I am such an idiot that usually I don't know when they're about to lose. I don't know the answers or questions ahead of time, which is very smart and legal. And then when it happens, a decorated Marine or otherwise, it is the brutal part. Especially when I think they're right. Then it's really embarrassing and painful. And those are the 2 emotions I really like to mix.
Like that time you thought Michael Keaton made the most money in a Batman movie?
I didn't think that.
I know.
It was a passing moment
I know. I just can't believe
that anyone could have.
that anyone
Sammy,
would think that that was the way.
Sammy, until you get on the game.
How much did tickets cost for a movie in 1989?
Exactly.
$4?
6.
What do they cost now?
17.
$30.
Yeah.
How could it be
Let's
much
just
cheaper?
start there.
All right.
And also that it beat records. When
Yes,
it came
also
out.
it was the second highest grossing film of all time. That's all.
Do I have any entertaining off-air moments I can share with you? No. Okay, question number 3 from Vince and Tori. Hey, you're from the Bay Area. Let me ask you, why is the term Frisco considered such a derogatory term to so many San Franciscans? Were they all collectively beaten up by a gang of Hell's Angel members who taunted them with the word? Or is there a history with the word that many of us don't know about? Perhaps my guest, who spent some time there and is much more wiser than I, knows of any sort of history. Sam, you want to look it up on your phone?
Sure.
My understanding, pretty much, Jamie, when people were saying P-Town about your beloved Pittsburgh, that was fun. Nope.
Well, that was made up. No one calls it P-Town.
Right.
It's called Pitts or the Burg.
Right.
Wait a second. Peter's Provincetown.
And
Yeah.
Provincetown is, in fact,
I
the
don't know.
P-Town.
Somebody was calling it P-Town, and then we're like, what's P-Town? It's
Yeah,
not P-Town.
anytime you abbreviate the town because you can't get all the way through it because you're a lazy speaker, again, go fuck
Pittsburgh
yourself.
is 2 syllables.
And then we have the same syllable number, really. So Frisco, I think my understanding growing up there, all of my life, was that it was just sort of a lazy, it wasn't really derogatory, it was just, it was one of those things where people who lived there never used the word and people who don't live there did. So automatically they stink. It was one of those kind of things. It was pretty much that cheap is my understanding. Wish I had a better answer? Wish you asked a better question. That's it for Ask Kevin, and now there's a Larry King game I'm sure we can choose from, but somebody didn't do their work, and that somebody is me. Submit your Larry King games to, again, contact kevinpawlschatshow.com, and if they are funny enough, then we share them now. I tweeted today an announcement to, in an attempt to gather some questions from you, the audience, ahead of time, as opposed to taking them live, which Jamie does normally when we're not pre-taping. I tweeted that my guest would be here, and I thought it was so damn clever that I referred to him as a podcast pioneer, prospector, and town drunk, and that's how I've chose to introduce him yet again. Marc Maron, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice to see you. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I saw you or what character you were doing.
I think I was on a version of one of your radio snippets. I think it was the Air America, or just after the Air America.
That might be true.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
in New York.
Right. I think it was probably Air America, and you came down.
Yeah.
And yeah. I remember now.
Because I remember a kind of a nice, sizable studio.
Yeah, they had a nice, beautiful studio at that time that they built with money that they weren't earning.
No.
It was tremendous.
Yeah.
Just to see the money go in that no one had,
Right.
and just wait for the axe to fall.
Is that really what
Sure.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently, once you were done with them and they of you, you would sneak in and start doing your own little podcast.
Well, what happened there was this.
Yeah.
I went back to Air America for a third time. After someone fires you twice, to go back a third time means you have no dignity whatsoever. And I was gone broke. I was getting in the middle of a divorce, and I took this job doing an internet TV show, which is going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. But
Designed to fail.
yeah. There's no way they can
What
succeed.
year was this?
What are we doing here?
What year was this?
This is 2007. Things have changed now. I apologize. Maybe I spoke. Things have changed now. You know.
Three scant years, and the world has changed.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
I mean-
right. People are actually doing internet television shows that succeed, and people enjoy to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. Anyway,
But not mine.
No.
So we did one, Sam Cedar and I.
It's always nice to be ahead of your time, isn't it?
Yeah, I've always liked to be the unappreciated guy that people credit but don't pay.
Right.
It's a very rewarding feeling to hear, like, oh, you were doing that before anybody. Yeah, before anyone made money at it.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Right.
I'm proud of that. No, what it was after that, they ran out of money.
Yeah.
They fired us. But being liberals and being progressive, I don't think they had the heart to let us, just go. They saw we had a month or so on our contract left, so they let them use the offices. Don't take their security cards away.
Right.
We don't want to be, assholes. So we, of course, immediately started breaking into the studio at night and started the first few WTFs, first few podcasts we did at night at Air America with the help of the late night engineer, Eddie.
God bless Eddie.
Yeah, he's terrific.
Yeah.
And he was supportive, and we were bringing guests up the freight elevator. It was very exciting. Or they text us, and we have to go find them in the street. The first few were, I think, Gaffigan was on, Jeff Ross was on, Caroline Ray, John Oliver, Doug Stanhope, Janine Garofalo, Nick Griffin. It was fun. It was fun. But that's how it started. And I really needed to do it because I had no idea what I was going to do. I don't know if you know this about me, but my career ended several times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, before it even started.
That's what the research shows.
Sure. I was off the radar for most practical purposes, and I'd just gotten, beaten pretty bad in a divorce, and I had no idea. It was out of desperation and passion for radio and comedy that I did that.
The mother and sister of invention.
Yeah, and then of course, the actual embryo of invention was I was broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it all started.
Well, you may have stumbled across something that has recently become my mantra, which is just also, other than being broke, if you're not creating, you're waiting. And I don't think we're good on the waiting thing.
Yeah, but then there's waiting, and then there's opportunity, and there's like, well, how can I, do this stuff that I've been waiting to do with this opportunity you've given me? Oh, you can, but let's just trim it up a little bit so it doesn't look anything like the creativity that you had in mind. Okay, well, I think I can work with that. You know what? We're not going to use it. Oh, so now I'm waiting and I'm bitter.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, it's a full cycle.
But if you create something that you can put out there and own and control.
So it's, control is wonderful. Yeah. Power. I have a lot of power in my garage.
Well, but
as you do here of this table.
But tell me about that transition, honestly, because for some it turns into careful what you wish. You suddenly are actually in charge of the show, and the show starts to take on a life of its own.
Yes, that's
and it starts to take on a team that works for the show and starts to live for the show in certain ways.
Yeah.
How are you with that sort of
well, my team's still
load?
Pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
And
37, according to the dossier.
Yeah. Oh, is it 37? Mm-hmm. Well, we lost one.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's a dick.
Well, I had no idea how to run a business. I don't know anything about that stuff. And the way, when it started to sort of blow up, I got very overwhelmed. And as I still am overwhelmed, I do my own booking. I do all the recording. I don't, I outline vaguely. Sometimes I hardly know anything about my guests, so I prefer that. So then something can be, sort of come out of it organically. I know we're comics. I know enough about them. I don't bring strangers in.
Sure. Although
it might be good.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, well, let me write that down. And it is a little overwhelming to me. But creatively, it's great. I improvise almost. I improvise all the monologues, and I improvise the conversations. There's no time limit on it.
Right.
And a lot of stand-up has come out of that as well. I think out loud, and once you learn how to be on a mic like that, things happen. So the creativity part of it is great. The business end is like, it's still, it's unusual for me to be developing a business, but we are doing it, and we are putting it together, and it is growing, and we are learning things. I think if you're open to learning and screwing up, if it's not too costly, it's beneficial.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked, because it's a completely different hat to wear,
Yeah.
and for a lot of artists who thrive in a creative sense and not so much in a business sense, it can become a little overwhelming.
I mean, most of us?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, really.
The guys with the good business sense are always like, well, he's not that great an artist.
Well, that's why I will thrive in the middle forever.
Sure.
Because I've also got a business sense.
Well, that's good. I'm working my way up to the middle, and I feel like I'm about to arrive
Let me tell you
there.
something.
Yes, sir.
You've heard it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's fan-fucking-tastic in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'd like the opportunity to make that judgment about the top on my own.
How dare you?
I've heard a lot of things about the top. Let me just feel it. How would that be? No. You know what? I am lonely, but I'm going to go swimming in my pool. Talk to you later.
You know what? It's I've only seen it.
Well, that's the weird thing, though. I think the reason they say that is because when you are at the top, that means you're very limited in who you can hang out with without it being threatening.
Right.
So, you see things like, I remember years ago at the Comedy Store, I was a doorman. And in the important booth, in Mitzi's booth, it was like Bruce Willis, Rodney Dangerfield, and Ted Nugent.
Sure.
Do they know each other? No. But where else do you put the famous people? So when you're at the top, and I don't know who you would consider at the top of that, but at the top, they can't hang out with anybody.
Yeah.
They can't go to regular restaurants without being bothered.
Right.
They can't do anything.
Right.
So their people arrange parties with other people at the top, and then they try to. It's like a freak show.
Yeah.
Why are you hanging out? No, there's only a few of us at the top.
Mount Olympus is a motherfucker.
Yeah, you think we gotta hang out with each other.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. Where were we going with this?
No, actually, no. There's no
rules?
actual destination,
Okay,
as it
good.
turns out.
That's what I hear.
It is just I keep telling myself that it's just a journey. It's just a journey. It's just a journey.
It's not a journey to the top, Kevin. We knew that. That's not the path we're on.
No, we're just on the journey.
Yeah, just hoping the rest area comes up because I gotta pee.
There's a little bit of a Lombard Street thing happening.
Oh,
a little bit.
Almost. Look, no.
Yeah. Does this one go up? Well, tell me about the first sort of nibble on the feelings of the stand-up. Let's go back a little bit because I'm annoyingly, but genuinely interested, if not fascinated, with the journey, and I love the idea that you could take a 10-year-old to go see Jackie Vernon.
Yeah.
Boy, I do love that.
You
a
like
lot.
the idea that my parents are inappropriate?
Yes. Yes.
And have no boundaries?
Yeah, because a 10-year-old is, this old guy is funny, or he's not.
Well, I loved him.
Right.
For some reason, I'd seen, and I recognize this, I talked about it with Judd Apatow, that, when being a comedy person, that the reason I got into comedy was that comedians brought me a great deal of relief and pleasure as a very young person. Mm-hmm. I would watch television, and I would see these old guys, and I loved them. I mean, I think they made my life bearable.
Yeah.
And at some point, I had seen Jackie Vernon do the slideshow bit, and I thought it was really the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And there was a cabaret circuit at that time, and it was in the Hilton Hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was just a lounge.
Sure.
And he was no huge act. He was a B comic, a B level comic. I mean, he was a marginal act in those guys. Mm-hmm. A lot of people wouldn't know who he was, but my parents knew I loved him. They took me to see him, and I remember sitting up front. It was dark. It was a bar. I think he smoked at that time. There was definitely smoke involved.
Sure.
And I was right there. I was as close to him as I was to you. And not unlike the experience I had watching you do your monologue, there's something horrifying about being this close to a celebrity. And because, when you see him on television, you make all these assumptions, and then and this has happened to me several times, being a minor celebrity, where you get backstage and you never met, what's her name? Exactly. And you look at their face and you're like, oh my God, TV's a miracle. Well, you try not to say that. You try to say, like, you look wonderful.
Yeah, that's what you said when you saw me, though. But that's a quote, actually.
But you actually do look good.
Now I know what you meant.
I'm just doing it for comedic effect. You look great. You really haven't changed a lot, much. But so I saw Jackie Vernon, and he was funny. But there must have been something enchanting about just the seediness of the situation. Yeah. That some seed was planted in that moment where I'm like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life around cigarettes and microphones and just the alcohol smell. And I mean, there is something that I've always been compelled to around that. And from a very young age, I always liked guys that looked like they were fucking dangerous. Yeah. I always wanted to smoke cigarettes. Even when I was like 11, 12, I'd go to the mall, I'd go into the Tender Box, which was a chain tobacco store. Sure. That they had at malls. Yeah, and I'd just walk in and look at cigarettes. I just had this. 10, 11, 12? Yeah, I mean, I just knew it was coming. That was the only regret I ever had in my life, is smoking.
That you got...
that I smoked. Yeah, it's a stupid one. And you really don't realize it. You just refuse to hear it. Yeah. Especially if you start as a teenager, for the reasons that teenagers start smoking, is you have no idea at that time, you're like, this is all right. You have no idea that is the rest of your life. I'm wearing 2 nicotine patches right now. I have not smoked in 10 years.
I'm soaking in it.
Yeah.
It is amazing also how it looks so cool, or whatever the reason is as a child that you gravitate towards it. And in the first couple of puffs, not a warning sign at all.
No.
The horrible,
the explosion of pain that's happening
Sure.
inside your system
The wheeze,
sends no signals whatsoever to your brain to go, maybe not.
Yeah, no.
None of that
But
happens.
if you're wired as an addict, all you're saying in that moment is like, I can get used to this.
Yeah, you better
I'm
believe
going to
it.
get the hang of this. This
Yeah.
just takes some mastering.
It can't always be this bad, can it?
Yeah, so many people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they surviving?
It's like
I'm
that-
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that first shot of hard alcohol. God, this is awful. I got to learn how to take this.
Yeah.
It's about the effect, I think.
And well, also when you're 11, it's also about the look for a lot of it.
Yeah, smoking as an 11-year-old was a very good look.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No one questions that.
Well, it was the only chance you had of getting laid, really. At
Yeah,
11, is
sure,
if
at
you
11,
smoked.
sure, yeah. By a damaged 40-year-old. Come here, kid.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So, did you collect comics the way some collect comic books, watching them on
I knew
the
them.
Tonight Show or what have you?
Sure. I wrote for their autographs. I mean, I was in it, and I'm trying to think what age that would have been. By 12 or 13, they just made me laugh. I liked laughing. My father was relatively funny, but he was manic depressive, so it was half the time not so funny.
Right.
And my mother
Technically, in
yeah,
another way.
well, that's how I sort of started my comic career. Is once his manic depression got bad, it'd be my mother sort of desperately coming up to me saying, go make your father laugh. You're the only one that can. Ooh, tough crowd. Is he in bed? So.
Wow. That's how the act begins.
It is.
Bedside.
And interestingly enough, I am wired to engage emotionally with manic depressives. I've had many people come up. I had a guy not too long ago come to the Comedy Store, said, I saw you were going to be here. We drove by. Your name was on the marquee. I had to come by. You're my favorite comic because I got to tell you, I'm bipolar. And when I'm depressed, I listen to your records over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, my dad he raised me so well. But
Wow.
And that happens a lot, actually. But that's the kind of comedy I do.
Well, there's a connection there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talk a lot about pain, and that's what they're feeling.
I've gone. I no longer talk about it. I just let people laugh directly at it. It took a lot of years to master, but now I just put the pain out there and let them laugh. The people that understand it laugh for the right reasons. The people that are laughing out of discomfort, they feel bad about laughing, and they learn a little something about themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an educational process.
Well,
but
there's a little bit of the 27% of the audience would laugh at Dennis Miller because they didn't want to appear stupid.
yeah, and they didn't realize that it was all being written for him.
Of course. And 27%, I think, of the audience is laughing at you because they don't want to appear pain-free.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the small 10% are like, I don't understand this. Why'd we come to see this guy?
Yeah.
I thought it was a comedy club. It's not a comedy club.
How
what you're
old were you
saying,
when-
so
go
I
ahead.
wrote, I got Buddy Hackett's autograph. I wrote him.
Rickles?
I didn't write Rickles, but I did get George Carlin's autograph when I saw him. But I wrote Buddy Hackett. For some reason, Buddy Hackett was a guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was fucking hilarious.
Oh, my God, yes.
And I remember he sent it back. I don't know who signed it. It doesn't matter. But I got the picture of Buddy Hackett. I was thrilled. He sent me, and because of that, I still send. If someone asks me for an autograph picture,
You'll always send?
yeah, I do, but I don't have them. So I have to print them up on the computer, and the paper's weird, and the pen doesn't work right. So they get something.
Right.
It may not be what they expected, but
As they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that obligation. As
I
well.
don't always send them to people like collectors for some reason.
I can always tell them the collectors, and I never send them to collectors.
Yeah, it's just weird to me. But they're usually honest about it. Like I was in San Francisco, and there were some of those guys out front, the collectors.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If I'm going into a place.
Yeah.
But if you want me to put a stamp on a thing, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I just it's just weird to
Yeah.
me, and usually I don't really mind it, but because I don't have a stack of pictures, I usually
Also,
forget about it.
I'm trying to get them to swing a little higher on the fences here.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get 14 cents for my autograph. You
Right.
got to go a little higher. Don't
Yeah.
stop wasting your time is what I should write them back. Really, if you want a career at this,
Yeah,
Scott Baio you can't find?
get a better autograph.
We do love to involve the audience.
Sure.
And at Ron's Robot offers up this Tweet 5. David Keckner. Love him, wish he was in my pants. It's a this or that, Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer, but it tends to be people who might know something about you. This Tweet 5 comes, that starts with beat or hipster?
Beat
Stern or Kevin and Bean?
Stern.
East Coast or West Coast?
Ooh, tough question. Right now, West Coast.
Sure. Snooki or Zsa Zsa?
I have no idea what that means.
That's the correct answer. Celebrity roast or talk shit behind their back?
Talk shit behind their back.
Sure. What's the fun of saying it to them? You kidding me? Boy, the roasts are just awful. They're just awful.
You know, I don't know. You know, I watch. There have been moments where I haven't watched a whole one. I did the one. I was on one, the Chevy Chase roast, and it was really the worst night in my show business career. The worst night, and I've talked about it on my show. It was just horrible. I don't know what happened. I'm not a roast guy. If I'm hurting somebody, if I'm saying something to hurt somebody, it's because I mean to hurt them. Like if I don't know how to write jokes. Like my venom it has no valve.
Right.
You know, like a lot of times I'll cut people down, like, you know, as a greeting, you know, just to get them uncomfortable, and so we're operating at the same level. But like to write jokes that are meant to hurt somebody,
and someone that you don't know.
Right. I don't know how to do it. The venom's too much, and I've always felt that. So, but I did put some jokes together. But the audience was horrible. I was uncomfortable. I respected Chevy Chase as a kid. He was one of the guys in the mid '70s. I would stay up late as a 13, 14-year-old and watch Saturday Night Live because he made me laugh. And he was such a pompous ass.
Oh my.
And you know, he was not into being there. He didn't play along.
No.
And I was one of the first couple up. And it, despite whatever they did to it in post, it was horrendous. I didn't get laughs until I said, you know, I'm not going to be the first one to eat shit up here.
Right.
And then, of course, I got criticized, you know, for saying that by Freddie Roman in the New York Observer. He's like, you know, in our day, we didn't talk about bombing. All right, well, okay, fine. In my day,
talk about bombing.
Well, it
was Carson's hook.
Right, but for some reason I offended one of the, you know, Freddie Roman is like this Friar Yoda, you know, that sits there as the arbiter of what's proper during a roast.
Funnier than me, you cannot.
Yeah. But I literally, in my mind, I know, because there was like 2,000 people there. It was at the Hilton.
Sure.
Huge. They had it up on screens. And I know when I'm panicking.
Oh, yeah.
And I know when, like, you know, my face reads panic.
It's the Albert Brooks broadcast news.
Yeah, there was no sweating, but I was flailing, you know, I was floundering. And it just didn't go that well. And I had to sit there for the rest of the night when all 10 other people, no one did that well. Right. The evening made Lisa Lampanelli. That was the night. You know, and then they put poor Andy Kenmore on after Lisa, who was probably the best roaster, you know, given the opportunity. But the night was a disaster. Yeah. And I remember being in my hotel room, you know, literally crying. Like I can't. To my friend Sam Lipside, who's a writer, I can't do it anymore. I can't. Did you see that? I can't do it anymore. And literally, when you're talking to a friend and they can't comfort you in that moment because they're going, yeah,
you're not wrong.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there looking at this Coach bag that the Friars gave me.
I want to set that on fire.
Right. Well, no, that was actually the nicest thing that happened. I brought that home. My cat pissed in it. So you know, it was definitely an indicator. But I you know, long way
Even your
around.
cat said you really shouldn't be.
Yeah, involved with that. No, I mean I watch them sometimes, and I've seen it. You know, I generally don't watch the whole thing. I enjoyed watching. There's some guys that are good at it. Like as somebody who, you know, after, you know, from doing the podcast and actually, you know, getting rid of some of my own personal bitterness, I've grown to appreciate comedy again in a similar way that I did when I was a kid. You know, I enjoy watching comics. I don't feel as competitive with them anymore. I don't begrudge anybody their success. I don't have those. You know, I found most of that was coming out of my own insecurity. So it seems to have dissipated a bit, and I enjoy it again. So I do like, you know, seeing certain people, you know, deliver jokes. Yeah. You know, and you know, Geraldo was always very good at it.
He was phenomenal.
And Ross is interesting. Yeah. Like people ask me about Ross, you know, like about, because I remember when Jeff Ross was Jeff Lifschultz, and watching him was a horrendous experience. I would have watched paint dry. Would have been better.
A pony dye.
Yeah, whatever. It was just like it took too long. It was too deliberate. You know, he had a Jersey mullet and his jean jacket. You know, I could not understand why he was on stage. And then at some point he shifted into this thing. Like I remember seeing guys, I'm sure you remember it too, you know, when you're starting out, or the guys you start out with, there certainly as an open micer or somebody who was not being paid to be a comic or being paid very little, right, to all of a sudden see somebody that you couldn't understand how they were funny, get funny. Like, and without them really changing anything. It's just something inside of them, right, all of a sudden was now relatable, or they figured out a way to lock in with the audience. Right. But Ross found this thing, this angle. And people ask me about Ross, and I've told him this before, is that
you told him?
Yeah, you remember the movie The Shining?
Sure.
The end of The Shining, where the butler says, you know, to Jack Nicholson, "You've always been here," and they zoom in on the picture from the 20s, mm-hmm, and there he is. Jeff Ross is that for comedy.
That's pretty good. How did Jeff take that?
He takes it okay.
Yeah.
You know, he took it okay. We get along good. There's very few people in stand-up, certainly in my generation, that I have not made uncomfortable, or at least I've thought that they have some resentment against me. But everybody seems okay right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. I apologize on the podcast.
Do you?
Sure, I usually open a lot of conversations with that. You know, look, I like something like, you know, I used to hate you. You know, I was jealous of you. I think it's okay now. Is it okay now? Are we okay?
But you've had these moments on the podcast where, for example, you know, cracking open the not so peaceful and troubled mind of Mencia, where the first pass through was one version. And then there was a sense of, I need to get him back in here and dig a little deeper.
Well, really, the weird thing is that I was not, I'm not, like, the Comedy Store is like high school in hell.
Yes.
There's a system there. There's a whole separate culture of that Comedy Store. And I was a doorman there in the late 80s, and I knew about it. But I don't go there that way anymore. And what I didn't realize about Carlos, you know, all I kept hearing was what a thief he was and this and that. And all I knew really about Carlos, for the most part, at the time I did the first interview, was that, you know, we had started around the same time. We did HBO half hours in '95. I have a poster in my garage with his face on it, my face on it. And my concern, my approach to him the first time was really empathetic. I was like, you know, this guy paid his dues.
Right.
I mean, he's a real comic. He's figured something out.
Right.
He makes money. You know, how the hell is he living with this burden of this, you know, hate, and can we talk about it? So I bring him in there, and he must have prepared for it. Like,
Sure.
it was almost like a politician trying to clear his name.
Right.
And I felt like he bullshitted me. You know, I felt like, you know, I couldn't get a word in edgewise, and I'd already announced on Twitter that I'd interviewed
I'm sorry,
him.
you couldn't get a word in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I've learned how to shut up. Do you want me to talk less?
I need you to talk.
Okay.
You're kidding. No, but I'm saying on your...
Right. Well, oh, that's right. Oh, I thought you meant like, you know, I never shut up.
No, not now.
Okay. So, we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not, but please keep talking.
We'll settle it on my podcast.
Yeah.
So after it, I'd already told people I interviewed him, and then they started going, "Where's the interview?" And I'm like, I can't even use this.
Oh, wow.
Because, like, you know, if I put this out there, given, you know, what people expect, you know, I can't use it. So I started talking to my buddy Al Madrigal.
Did you, if I may, did you feel that way when you finished doing it, or did you listen back to it?
No, I knew in the middle of it that I wasn't going to get through. There was, you know, he had a, you know, he
had a prepared statement.
There's a funny story. I'll tell you after if you remind me about his bubble, about the Mencia bubble. Well, so I was in a weird position. So I talked to Al Madrigal, who is a great comedian and a close friend of mine, but he's got his ear to the ground, you know. And I said, I can't. I played some of it for him. I'm like, and he's listening to it go, oh yeah, he's just this is nothing. He's bullshitting. So I said, well, what do I do? He goes, well, you got to talk to the Latino guys. So I called. He gave me some names. I called several Latino comics who have worked with Carlos or were part of his life somehow at a different point in his life. Willie Barcena, Steve Trevino, a couple other ones who were like, I'd rather not. And I interviewed Willie and Steve. Willie knew him as a younger person. You know, they lived together. Didn't live together, but they wrote together way back in the day.
Right.
And Trevino worked with him for years as his opener. So I interviewed these guys with direct questions about stealing and their experience with him. And then I got to call Carlos back. You know, so I call him, and I'm hoping we can do it on the phone. And I don't do phoners, but I'm hoping, you know. So I call him back. I'm like, look, you know, I talked to Steve and Willie. You know, I got to ask you some more stuff. You know, I can't use the first one as is. And he goes, no problem, bro. I just landed at LAX. I'll drive over now. So now I'm like nervous because is he going to bring people? I don't know what he's like. Am I going to get hurt? You know. But he comes in and he sits down the same way he did before, with the same attitude. He said, let's go. And I'm okay. And then I start hitting him with very specific stuff. And during the course of that second interview, there was a battle going on within Carlos. There was some sort of struggle. There was like, he never outwardly said I stole, but like he was wrestling with himself, and there were like several different identities. And then like literally it was sad.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kept trying to get out of the interview, but he kept going, no, bro, listen. You know, and like I started laughing because I was literally uncomfortable at what I'd opened up in a little bit in a way.
Pandora's box.
A little, but I mean, he doesn't. The weird thing is he doesn't see it that way.
Right.
And the people that listen to it, despite what they may have thought of him or whether the fact remains that he's a thief, you're not going to be able to avoid the fact that he's this person, and clearly he's got some problems.
Right.
And the weird thing about that, I didn't know how he felt about the interview in retrospect, and I thought it was fair, and I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't attack him. It was difficult. We had a discussion. But I still didn't know how he felt about it. And if I were him, I would have felt uncomfortable with it. So they wrote an article with me in the New York Times. And, in the last few days before it was going to, be printed, the writer of the article emails me, says, I'd like to talk to Carlos. Do you think that's possible? And I'm like, well, I don't have a problem with it. But for some reason, I didn't see it as a problem. This is the way Carlos is that, I'll call him.
Sure.
Even after what we went through, I figured, what have I got to lose? And I'd sort of like to know if there was any,
Are we okay?
feel. Yeah. So I call him up and I go, hey, it's Maron. He goes, hey, bro, what's going on? And I'm like, nothing. New York Times wants to talk to you. They're writing a piece on my podcast. He goes, sure, man. You want me to do it? Because I won't do it unless you want me to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you can do it if you want. He's like, no problem, bro. Yeah, anything you want me to say? Just tell him your feelings. He's like, okay. So then, apparently the New York Times guy emails me and he says, I spoke to Carlos. He's living in quite a bubble, isn't he? And I wrote back, it's a very resilient and strong bubble. Yes.
Yeah.
But he said nice things, so, yeah.
Well, did you see the I Am comic?
I did.
Wasn't there a moment in that I seem to recall where he kind of leans into the lens and says,
I stole it.
No,
it was in the middle of a weird rap presentation. He was manic, and I think I asked him about that, and I don't think he saw that as a serious admission. Maybe he did, but there's definitely something within him that
If I come into the back of the showroom and you're on stage, I'm going to take your act and I'm going to do it better. That's what he said. Yeah.
And I Am comic.
And I Am comic.
Yeah.
Which I just saw for the first time recently. That's why it's so
Well,
fresh.
I think then there you go. Well, there you have it.
Yeah, I was thinking, was that prior to your?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, of course. Interesting. Anywho, what's fun about your show is that these kind of things are happening along with stream of consciousness conversation between you and your audience, which is how you found your voice based on what I've been able to uncover.
On the radio, you mean? Or on the podcast?
No, on stage. On stage, like it or not, willingly participant in it or not, in the label, you were a part of the birth of what's called alternative comedy. And as I've heard you, or read rather, you describe the experience was, we were just trying to get on stage. I quote, I was a club comic working on new material in a venue where there was no pressure. That's what it meant to me, alternative comedy.
Yeah, that was what it meant in the beginning.
Right.
That
you could get on stage and actually have a conversation with the audience.
Well, I think that, comedy clubs were fine, and I did comedy, but I've always been sort of a heady, kind of angry-ish, comic, and I've sort of evolved out of that into something I think that's more genuine for me at this point in my life.
Right.
But at that time, they had set up these rooms, and I was there at the beginning of New York alternative comedy with
End of the 80s.
It was
89,
no,
90,
it was the early 90s. It was definitely the early 90s.
Right before you moved to San Francisco.
It was actually right before I moved to San Francisco, or was it? No, it was after, actually. I moved to San Francisco, so I was an established comic.
Right.
By the time I left San Francisco, I was headlining. And so I think that if my time isn't wrong, Luna Lounge was probably 94, 95. So I'd moved back to New York, and they wanted to do this thing where they were going to create this space where people sat on the floor or wherever, and you had comics and these. It was mostly mainstream comics, though. It was mostly guys who worked clubs.
Right.
But there was also this other group of comics coming up that were the generation after me. Galifianakis, Andy Blitz, excuse me. Who else? Dimitri Martin. There was a group of younger comics that were not doing as much, waiting online at Stand Up New York and trying to. But Zach did. Most of them did mainstream comedy clubs. But,
sure.
But the way I saw it was here. I can sit and just talk in a real stream of consciousness way, which no one really does unless you're improvising off a crowd moment, or else you're feeling very confident in between jokes.
You got to go back to Lenny Bruce.
Right. is that, but he had his own environment after a certain point. I mean, they were expecting Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
And initially he certainly wasn't doing that. He was doing, impressions.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, when he made that transition,
that was great.
yeah.
Yeah, everything broke open.
Yeah, it changed everything. More than the profanity, in my opinion, was the stream of conscious conversation.
Well, I also think at that time then you can see a similar wave, because once comedy moved from a comedian to a stand-up comic. The idea of stand-up comic to me means that generation, just post Lenny Bruce, who are around the same time, who were actually point of view comics.
Right.
There was a time, like when Jerry Lewis was around, and Jerry Lewis was driving up to Harlem to steal Black Axe bits, and then coming back down to the rooms that he was playing, or going up to the Concord.
Right.
That, and even amongst themselves, they would ask each other, "Are you doing that bit tonight, or can I do it?" I mean, there was a sense that a comedian
it was a different time.
Was a practitioner.
Yes.
Of jokes.
Right.
It didn't matter what jokes.
Right.
It was the personality that transcended, and then the clown they built was what brought them to where they were.
Right.
It was not the jokes.
Sure.
But then there was a period where you get people like Lenny and Bob Newhart, and you get people. Certainly Bill Cosby, and you get a lot of acts that were all of a sudden point of view comics, where the jokes were original, and that they were not designed for anyone else to do, and
personalized.
Right, and then you had that whole generation of great comics that we grew up watching.
Right.
And I'm certainly not comparing alternative to that, but what it provided me was a place for me to explore whether or not bitterness could be funny.
Right.
And I found after 3 or 4 years that no, not in a marketable way, but it made people feel better.
It could be funny in the room. We don't know how to market it.
That's right. Yeah, bitterness. You
got to see them.
Yeah,
they would say in the meetings.
Yeah,
You
it's an
gotta see 'em.
experience. It's an experience that you should have once, and the once is the important thing in terms of selling tickets. But that evolved. But it was a place that I developed, and I developed stuff more in those type of rooms than I do anywhere else. But now,
But is it safe to say that's where you found your voice? That's where you found your comfort level of what you really wanted to do on stage?
I think really where I found my voice, the comfort level. My voice has always been mine, and it never, like, I watch stuff that I did in the late '80s, Evening at the Improv and stuff, and I don't watch it and go, "Who the hell is this guy?" It's me trying to be me, in some form with jokes.
But was there a sense of freedom to really?
Well, there was,
think
but
on
I was
stage,
never,
or was it all?
Yeah, there definitely was
memorized?
that. I think if anything, it bought me some more space on stage. Right. It made me expand my territory. I found a voice for myself at that point in time. But I do think that not up until recently, in the last couple of years, have I been, oddly, after as long as I've been doing it, and as much opportunity I have had that may not have gone anywhere, but I've certainly been visible to a few people, more so now, that it wasn't really in the last couple of years that I've become, truly fearless and comfortable in performing. And all that, it evolved through all those different experiments, and certainly that period, enabled me not to give a shit as much about an audience, or to actually feel comfortable enough. But now the intimacy thing is genuine, and it's not like a lot of times in the alternative rooms, I would go up there and be like, "Oh God, I can't fucking, all right, so this is how it happened."
Right.
And, which is not a great setup for anything.
I remember seeing certain acts in the mid-'90s that will go nameless because their names are known.
Could it be a quiz?
And thinking, this generation is literally just whining, actually. They're under the guise of "I've got something to say," they've actually got nothing to say.
I think
because
that's
it's personalized
true.
In a little window of time, in order to get to a place where you actually got to yourself, and most of these acts did as well. They started similarly by just going on stage and going,
Right, but what you just did could have been. I imagine. Do you do a Richard Lewis?
No.
But the issue is craft. I mean, and certainly that there's two ways to go now. I mean, either you're going to get a craft in place as a comedian. You're going to build a clown that works, or if you want to avoid that step, you somehow or another, outside of building a craft, amass an audience.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely a difference between when you started and when I started. Is that you can amass an audience with nothing. How long they'll stay your audience, I don't know.
Right.
But if your craft becomes, appearing that you don't have one, which some people have done,
Well,
and I
works.
imagine someone you're
Sure.
talking about now, then so be it. How anyone evolves, their consistency on stage is their own business. But I think what you were saying is right. But I think a lot of those people, developed it. If the ones you're talking about are successful now, and they've made it their own through that whining.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about if you.
Is this going well? By the way, I don't. I'm not.
Want to pass fail?
Yeah.
You. That kind of honesty doesn't really exist here.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I do on my podcast.
Yeah, that's why I just want to make it clear to.
Like, is Sam usually laughing more? Or
I don't know. What do you think, Kevin? This is the most I've laughed in a long time.
Oh, okay. More than on the plane yesterday? Because we were having some laughs.
That was really intense.
Yeah.
We flew back from San Francisco together.
It's a 50-minute flight. How could you shit
got
yourself?
bumpy.
And
It got a little bumpy.
And Sam got and like, I think I said after one major sort of bump, I said, I really like Freaks and Geeks. And then I just want to make sure I was clear with everybody around me that we were good.
And if that had been the last thing you said,
yeah,
you're fine with that.
No, I think I would have said something if we actually went into a rapid descent. Like, how come I wasn't on that show?
Much better. Okay, so as the pioneer and the prospector, being ahead of your time.
I had no idea that I was.
I know. That's the problem.
I think I came in barely at the right time. I think there were people that were ahead of us. Yeah.
Well, as long as you stay at it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing,
Consistency.
Well, no, but I mean in terms of if you're ahead of your time, but you can stay at it long enough for the time to come, then you get all the accolades for being there early.
Yeah.
And the success when it's being accepted by.
Yeah, but usually that right when you get your
shoot yourself in the
success.
foot?
No. Well, I've done that, but not in any big way.
Not in a Slayton way?
No. I don't. I'm not even sure what that story is, but I'm going to ask him about it when I have him on my show. No, Mark, listen to me.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo, how are you, pal? Let me tell you something. I worked him Cinco de Mayo in Sunnyvale. Yeah. It's fairly Hispanic.
Yeah.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
He walked on stage and said, yeah, happy fucking Cinco de Mayo. You ever been to that rat-infested shithole Mexico? Let me tell you something about that place. It is a scum bucket, and you would think, with all the maids that have come out of that country, the place would be a little...
How'd that go over?
Cleaner. Well, it was interesting because half the audience being Hispanic, they were broken into 50-50. Half of them had a sense of humor about their country from where they came and agreed and laughed openly.
Sure.
The other half got prideful because that's in their DNA.
Yeah.
And then all the white people's sphincters tightened up as much as,
Oh, that always happens. Yeah. The liberal guilt, the white burden. But Slayton is like, I was with him in Montreal, and I don't know him well, but he's one of those guys that if he gets in, he's in.
Yeah.
On a personal level, and on a crowd level, and it's sort of electrifying. Because like I said before, I'm wired by insanity. That like I will directly if I'm around a manic person, I'm like, great, he's my battery.
Yeah.
I feel alive around him.
Yeah. He's your battery. So, in terms of the podcast world, I am abjectly curious about. We talked a little bit about before going on here about the once you get into the internet world. I found coming from traditional media, I only knew it was called that.
Is that what it's
once
called
I got
now?
into
Traditional
new
media.
Only people who knew media
Traditional
call
media,
it that. People
yeah.
in traditional media would never know what you're talking about.
You were in the box in the living room, not the box on the desk.
Yeah. What are you doing out of the living room?
Yeah.
They ask right away, well, how do you monetize that? Do you monetize? Are you tired of that word? Because, oh my God, stop saying monetize.
Yeah, I know.
My ridiculous notion was, well, we'll do a 1950s television. This hour brought to you by.
Right,
Find the right sponsor.
Well, I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, but I say, pow, I just shit my pants. I have a coffee sponsor, and that is the hook I got.
Pow, I just shit my pants?
Yeah. And I don't charge them much because they actually were kind enough to sponsor my failing internet TV show on Air America, and it's this coffee co-op in Wisconsin, and they're some hippie-ish type folks, and they make a great product. And I asked them if I could carry them along, and I didn't change the rates, even though I'm charging more for other advertisers, just because I love to say, "Pow, I shit my pants."
Right.
And they've cut me a deal where. they have a What the Fuck blend now.
Sure.
With my face on it.
Nice.
And I get 10% of that plus the bit they pay me on a monthly basis. And, I'm making money.
Right.
With that old style radio and television advertising.
Yeah.
So that is one way to monetize.
And so you have a subscription also.
We do. What we did was, there's different models for it. There in my world, there's the Pardo model and the other model.
Right.
And the Pardo model, who is great.
Who's been here? We talked about it. Yeah.
Is you put a little up and then you say if you want the rest, here's what it's going to cost. Welcome aboard. But I mean the problem with that is growing an audience, continued growth, and I just say continued growth because that I learned how to say that. Mm-hmm. But what we did is we went to NPR model, which is like, donate some money. We're doing this, obviously you can download it for free, but I'd like to make a living. It's a job and I'm working and my partner's working. And if you donate this much, I'll send you a t-shirt and some stickers. And now we've got a bigger package. If you donate this much just once, I'll send you 2 t-shirts, 3 CDs, a special WTF CD, and some stickers. And we were able to build on that. I haven't looked lately about how many subscribers I have doing that, but there's been, there's money coming in with that. Do we push it hard? I don't. We did a few pledge drive type shows early on, and we were able to build it. I should probably do another one. But now we've got premium episodes where I do live What the Fucks. With 4 or 5 comics that are just strictly, sort of a funny show. Mm-hmm. We sell those.
What kind of venues?
We used to do my comics in New York twice a month, but that place got a little weird. I just did one in San Francisco. I think I haven't decided whether we're going to use that as a premiere or not with Bobby Goldthwait. I'm going to be doing 2 at the Bell House in Brooklyn in March. That will probably be premium episodes. So we were doing that for a while, and those sold very well. The Filthy Show with Attell and DeRosa and a few other people that we did well with those. We did okay. And now, we do advertising. So, we do have advertisers. I sell vibrators to women for Adam and Eve, mm-hmm. and also men, but I choose to focus on the women angle. We do Audible. We do Sub Pop Records sponsored an episode to push their David Cross release. Men of a Certain Age mm-hmm. just bought 2 episodes, Mike and Ray. Right. And I'd had them on the show before, so we're open to that. And there's different. We have a rate sheet. We have different options. You have the mention. You have the full show sponsorship. You have other options. We just started doing apps through our server, and they're doing very well. The WTF app for iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad, Android is doing well.
That's a way to watch the show, download episodes?
We don't watch. See, the video element is I don't bother with it.
Sorry, I meant listen. Oh. So the app on the iPad and the iPhone.
Well, you get the advantage of, we pulled the first 80 or so episodes.
Pulled them from?
iTunes. You can't get them anywhere.
Right.
And our thought was we were going to put them back up on iTunes, and to sell them for a little bit of money. Mm-hmm. But that's a longer process than we anticipated. But just coincidentally, the apps came out. So now really the only place you can hear, like the Carlos, or I think Robin as well, Robin Williams, is the only place you can get those early episodes is on the apps.
Right.
And you can stream them on the apps. So that became sort of a pitch point of the app.
And the app costs?
The app is 99 cents. The basic iPad app I think is 99. And then for a premium, you got to bump up to $2.99. The Droid I think is $8.99 for a year.
How long did I get the Droid up?
How long did it take?
Yeah, because I remember listening to.
Yeah. Well, see, this is me and my business head. I had no idea that we were doing this. I'm partnered with my server. And my old producer knew that we were doing this.
Right.
But to me, I'm just sort of like, I don't understand. Just tell me what I need to do and where I have to say it.
Yeah. All we ended up doing is saying, "Hey, we're on the thing now."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I met with the guys.
You seemed excited. I just listened to you. You seemed excited that the Droid is out. The Droid is out.
Well, that's just people ask you.
Right.
It's like, you asshole. What is it? All Apple with you? So I don't know. What is that? What is the difference? Is there another thing that you hold? But
as it turns out, by the way, it's another thing you hold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, apparently, and people enjoy that thing as well. So I better make it easier for them to get it. But I've talked to the guys. I'm getting a little more aware of it and what it means. I don't understand the technology of it, but ultimately, you build a relationship with your listeners, and I like my relationship with my listeners. And if I can make it easier for them to get the show, then I'll do that. And if I can make the app special for them, I'll do that. Like apparently there's things I can do for app users that will be special for them. Like I can communicate with them on the app, and I will do that as soon as I find the fucking time, Kevin.
Ain't it always the problem?
It is really, because with this,
of course it is.
I'm reading this book called The Tyranny of Email, and like the fact is, like I tried to respond to all the emails from my listeners, and now I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to have to choose an entire day to do that, and I do because again, I appreciate my listenership, and I appreciate how because they know me. My listeners know me better than my mother has to listen to the show in order to see how I'm doing. Yeah, I don't think she knew I was going to be on Conan last week.
Right.
But so the app's on that level, and if my listeners, if any of them are going to begrudge me, making money out of some sort of value system that they've applied to what the internet should or shouldn't be, I say I'm sorry, but go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, after a certain point, this argument, it's like, it should be free. Really? Then what am I supposed to do? What do you do for work? Should be free, guy? Are you out on the streets with your computer?
I wonder who's laying claim to, because that's one of my favorite things to hear anyone say, and occasionally say myself, where you apply the action to the person's name.
Yeah.
Mr. Should Be Free guy. I wonder who says, that's my bit. You can't do that. You know what I mean? It's got to be Richard Lewis.
I actually had a story about that. I don't want to mention the guy's name. He's an okay guy.
All right.
But he's bitter as fuck. And you might not even know.
I've got a list of four in my head already.
I don't think you know.
Okay.
But I was talking to him backstage at the Comedy Store recently. He's like, yeah, this place, people steal everything. When you're on stage, you hear a siren. He said, my ride's here. It's mine. Really?
I say it every week on this show because the walls are so thin. I didn't realize he's the guy I'm ripping off.
Yeah, I'll tell you his name later.
Yeah.
But you might want to call him, because I'm sure he's sitting at home going, fucking...
That's my bit,
Pollock's Chat Show.
It's
It's everyone's bit. Who gives a shit?
I know.
If you wrote that and you really believe you did, you should just be proud of yourself. That it's so usable.
That it applies to everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You wrote a hanger for a laundromat. At plastic_hair offers up this tweet. We had a couple of questions that were pretty good. If you can find one from Elaine's list, I wouldn't mind sharing one of those. Louis C.K. or Richard Pryor?
Richard Pryor.
Stand-up or podcast?
That's unfortunate. That's my friend. Stand-up or podcast?
Yeah, I think he understands.
Oh, two different things.
Mustache or beard? Say two different things. It's funny.
Yeah, two different things. But I go with both, kind of.
Yeah, clearly. Single couple?
Single's going all right.
Conan Letterman?
Oh, come on.
That's the father and son, isn't it?
Well, look, I those guys are my guys. I grew up with Letterman. I love Conan.
Yeah. Oh, well, Conan feels the same way, in terms of paying, respects to and the guy who broke the mold in a certain way that you wanted to emulate.
Yeah, I just did Conan, and he's so this show is starting to do it.
Yeah.
Like they did I was waiting to go on, and he didn't have me on the Tonight Show, which I was sad about, but I'm happy that
it's only 7 months.
No, I know, but I'm glad he didn't.
Right.
Because now it's like this is like Conan's version of a podcast. I mean, he's got his own thing.
Absolutely.
And
he figured it out.
Yeah. And
they forced him to, but he figured it out.
Yeah. And now, I was watching the tape bits, when it went to go on, and it's been a long time since I'm like, whoa, he wouldn't have done this. There's no way he would have done this on it. I don't even know if he would have done this on his late night show.
Right.
The bit about the Pope and the miracles.
Oh boy.
Did you see that?
No.
It
sounds great though.
The Tyler Perry Black Kennedy sketch. I mean, it's like, and this was on one show that they were making Pope John Paul a saint. So they because you have to perform miracles to be a saint. So they did some pictures of of John Paul I. Or I think it was actually live footage of him doing a magic trick where he pulls the box open with the woman, with the two parts, and then there was a cup trick, and then they actually showed Pope John Paul pulling a train, like the classic sort of strongman shit. And I thought that was pretty good. That was pushing the envelope. So I mean. And he's very comfortable, and it's great to see Andy there again. I had a great time doing it. It felt like I was coming back to the clubhouse, and it was great. But so that launched off of that. Yeah, those were tricky questions because Louis and I are good friends, and he's a spectacular comic. But
he's doing the funniest half hour on television now.
Yeah, not only funny but interesting and arty.
Yeah.
And Louis has always been a filmmaker. It's always been what he wanted to do,
Right.
and somehow he's managed to make the two happen for him.
Yeah.
And
It's nice to see.
Yeah,
and it actually works out because we both know how insanely impossible that is.
Yeah, it's unprecedented, and I'm glad he's having success with it. But Richard Pryor is my between him and Woody Allen and a few other people, it's sort of the heart of what I found. Richard Pryor just for the emotional content of what he was able to do. So I mean it's a ridiculous question, but
Yeah, well, of course, that's the nature of it.
And I don't like that guy anymore. Not the guy tweeted that. That was difficult, and you made me make tough decisions on the fly.
Yeah. I like that you went recently, or however recently, to, you're in Vegas, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go see Carrot Top. It's enough already with all the jokes. I'm actually going to see
that. That was a while back, yeah. Well, it was weird. I actually interviewed him I was doing campaign coverage for The Guardian.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. And, I know him, kind of. And it was, again, this is the growing of my heart somehow. Like, this guy's taken enough shit. And, after you get to a certain age, you're like, why?
Yeah. How bad could it be?
Well, no, it's whether it's bad or not, that's a value judgment that you're going to make.
Subjective art form.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, it's show business.
For fuck's sake.
No, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, he shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Why? That's like saying, no more candles for birthdays.
No, listen, as someone who does voices,
yeah.
The guy who pulls shit out of a trunk, is A-okay with me? I'm not going to sit here and complain.
Look, I don't have to like it. I don't care. But, I mean, what's more interesting is what a freak he is.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'd like to go do a podcast with him. But, yeah, I went to see the show. And the only thing that I really remember, it was fine.
Sure.
His devices are okay. Some of them are clever. It was entertaining for the people that was there. But because there was so much money involved in the production, and that he could do it, at some point during the show it just started snowing. I don't even think there was a joke attached to it. He just,
it's Vegas, baby.
Yeah, exactly. There was money to be doing, so we like, all right, it snows. I don't remember what the joke was.
No, it was over a salad at some point. He said, "Is there any way to make it snow?" What are you talking about? I mean, yes, of course there is.
Sure, we can do it. We'll do that at this point in the show. And then in the middle of the show, it was almost heartbreaking, as much as it was flattering. He knew I was there because I talked to him. And in the middle of his Vegas show, he goes, I'm a little nervous tonight. There's a real comic in the audience.
Wow.
And, of course, I set up, that's me, this guy, with the props. Am I right? Some of us don't need that. Anyways, go ahead with your little show.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I did not do that.
No, of course not. We asked you to reserve the right to do it here only.
Yeah, okay.
But I thought that was pretty cool. And
I got no beef with him. Really,
But why? How could you have an actual?
But no, look, there was a period in the '80s when I was coming up, maybe not when you were coming up, where there was a very a strong distinction,
right.
Between a boat act, or a hack,
right.
or a prop act. I mean, there was something that happened.
Yeah.
In the early '80s, where the happy hours became illegal, so now we had to carry those guys, the happy hour performer.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's always been tradition in comedy of clowns and jugglers or whatever, but there was a point at in the '80s,
right,
when the comedy boom happened, where there were lines drawn. There was integrity and there wasn't.
Right.
There were hacks, there were boat acts, there were jugglers.
Yeah.
And then there were the guys that hated them.
Well, you either have that in you or you don't.
No, it doesn't exist anymore.
Uh-huh.
It just doesn't. You go to an alternative comedy club, and I defy you. I mean, if it were 1985, these are definitely clowns. Mm-hmm. They're definitely costume acts. Mm-hmm. They're definitely doing characters that they're making up. I mean, it's not that different.
Right.
The forms repeat themselves. I mean, I sit in a comedy club, and I'm like, I've seen this. It's almost like commedia dell'arte. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what that means, but I know that there's. But from my understanding of it, there's like 11 or 12 archetypes.
Yes.
And I think it exists in stand-up. That I know who the weird guy is. There's always a guy that's like who thinks he's a genius and it doesn't make sense, and he's usually wearing something sloppy and speaking in a weird voice. And I'm like, I've seen that guy 3 or 4 times. I've seen it inhabited before.
Yeah.
And it's the same with all comedy.
Right.
What's interesting about alternative comedy, for the most part, is that there's not a lot of real emotional risks being taken. And for me, with stand-ups, that I like guys that, and I don't mean that in a way that I need them to cry or be angry on stage, but there are guys that speak from their heart, and there are guys that don't. Mm-hmm. And there's always a shortage of heart, in the business. Sure. And I'm, like for me, like right now, my friend Al Madrigal, who speaks about his family, and he does it in a very old-style way. He tells stories, but they're very filled with jokes. It's just beautiful to watch. Maria Bamford, who's just has a chaotic heart and mind, and she can't hide it. I love it, And even people like Todd Berry. I mean, who does jokes for the most part, but you can't help but see that guy.
Yeah.
If you can't see the guy, then something they're not doing it right.
Right.
Even a good clown, you get the sense that they're sad.
Yeah. You better.
Yeah.
Or they're not a good clown.
Right.
But at some point it has to be...
Where'd that start?
I got to know what your point of view is. I got to know where you stand on something.
But I think point of view in our business is more has to do with, there's that, but there's also character. What's the persona? What is your character? Because when you talk about somebody like Kevin James, who this is a big turning point for me as a grown person, mm-hmm. and as somebody who sort of courted bitterness and thought that anger was the way to get a point across, and the way to do comedy was to figure out how to do it angrily. And then I found that even my angry heroes when I was younger still have an act.
Yep.
When you look at Kennison, Steve Pearl, who I'm sure you know,
sure.
who I recently had on my podcast, he's available again.
Love him.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
There are certain mind-bending moments that happened in my career where, literally at some point, Steve Pearl said to me, "Oh, Sam Kennison, he's a genius. 2 short screams followed by a long one."
Wow.
And then you realize, oh my God, he's a clown. oh! I mean, if you can, render it down to this, to why someone's successful. Okay, granted, he had a lot to say, some of it wrong, but I still listen to his records. I love him. But the thing is, his point of view. Like when a lot of people say, "What's your point of view?" Sometimes it's like, "What is your comedic character?" Like Kevin James, for instance. I never, thought one way or the other. And I'm more prone to cry and laugh at very mainstream sitcoms than I am to struggle through why something's funny. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that even I see, and I'm not an old guy, but sometimes I don't understand sketch comedy. I'm like, is it done? Did I miss it?
Did it start?
Yeah. But I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm heartbroken. I'm literally suicidally depressed, and I'm sitting on my couch.
I'll say.
And right now, really, I'm not hiding it. I really thought I'd stuff that shit down. I thought I'd successfully.
No, I went right back there.
Yeah.
I went back to the place you were talking about.
And I'm sitting at home midday, in between naps.
Sure.
And Kevin James's hour special on Comedy Central come on. And it brought me back to when I was watching Buddy Hackett as a kid with ridiculous parents who, provided no parenting. That, all my pain went away. I was laughing hysterically. And what's his point of view? I mean, he talks about food and being online a lot. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is that the clown he has created for himself, it has a point of view. He's that guy. He's, a little fidgety, always the underdog, overweight, and he's always going to be the brunt of everything. Yeah. That's his point of view. So I don't know if it's so much about something to say.
Sometimes it is absolutely their character that they have either decided to share, that's really them, or it's a character of creation. And that's when it starts to feel like less of a point of view when it's a
That's right.
character.
Creation thing, they don't always work for me. Rarely do they work for me.
Yeah.
But people who can't help but be themselves and they're just a little bit of an amplified version of that, I resonate with.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
We done?
Let's take another call. We're going to take one more call.
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
We don't have to stop, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Are you serious?
We've never had a time restraint before, but because of the pre-tape parameters,
Did we cover everything you wanted to cover? Because I didn't talk about my upbringing and some of my problems.
I made you go back there a little bit.
Okay, I'm kidding.
Yeah, and by made you, I simply asked. Do you find that, at Ron's Robot, question for Maron, I'm assuming that's you, does he find that he is apologizing less to his interviewees or just as much as before? What does he attribute that to?
Well, I'm slowly running out of people I might have offended. I don't have to apologize to everyone.
There's only so many.
There are some people if
I remember coming into your Air America show as we discussed briefly, and I sensed a little hostility, but I immediately knew, if you'll forgive me, that it was shtick. not an actual attack on anything I had ever done.
I don't know. At that time, yeah, I was probably sleep deprived.
Right.
And
well, you don't have to remember the moment, but I'm just telling you the sense was.
I don't like. I wish that it could be shtick, and I appreciate you thinking that. Like,
By the way, by shtick, let me clarify.
Oh.
I don't mean forced.
sorry about the chewing.
No, forced or
It's just what I
lack
do.
of feeling.
Right.
But it was like a comfort level of your way of saying hello.
Right. Disgruntled. Yeah.
In fact, that's what you were doing. You were saying hello in an angry way.
Yeah, and you were like, oh.
And I found it very funny, instantly funny, but also crystal clear as to who it was I was dealing with. And again, if you can do that in 90 seconds.
Let me do that. Let me do this for you now. I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry that that I was off-putting at that time.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
You have to accept at some point you actually made someone laugh
Really?
with the anger.
No, I think there is people that.
Listen, I think you already talked about it. I really do. You talked about having a certain amount of resentment at a certain time as a way to justify whatever it was you were going through.
That's good.
And then you get to a certain point in age,
Yeah, and
and
you're
you
like,
say, you know what,
I'm sorry.
now it's on a need-to-care basis.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there is room for everyone.
Sure.
As long as I have a little room for
Just
me.
give me a little piece.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and by the way, I do want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Pioneer aside, you are now thriving in something that you created out of thin air, that no one's pitched you or forced you. They can't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
They can't control any aspect of it. And you are thriving in it in a way that so few have or are. In the same way that you say that Conan has finally found his thing and has made it his version of a podcast, I think you're speaking to that of which you're actually thriving in right now. I think you actually do have careful what you wish for. What are you going to do with it? You know?
Well, I'm also happy that it's helping my comedy as well, because I love doing stand-up, and I've never loved it as much.
How about that, by the way?
It's great. It's great. Like to actually, I just taped my 4th CD, and to know, like, I do not have the insecurities I used to, and I look for them. Kevin,
Waiting for them.
Yeah, I wake up and I'm like, come on.
I know you're coming.
You don't want to be awake.
There's the door.
Yeah. But a lot of them aren't there, and I think it's really because I feel that the podcast has introduced me in a way to an audience that I did not have before, in the most honest way possible.
100% honest. It's all niche.
And it's me, and it's like, all I've wanted to be was me.
Right.
And now when I do a club and people come to see me because of the podcast, I'm like, they know me. Like, now my only insecurity is, and it's weird because I do this every fucking show. Like, I see people, the podcast people, they usually bring me presents, cookies, books, this and that. The only thing I'll ask them is, like, good show, I'm a big what the fucker. I'm like, was that me? Did it seem like me?
Right.
They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Good.
Wow.
Because comedy, it's a different set of chops.
Yes.
Because the context is different. You have to entertain a crowd of people. Some of them don't know you at all.
Right.
So my fear when I get off is like, I was myself though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you felt like you knew
The guy you wanted to see.
Exactly.
I wasn't a puppet for the other jerks.
Yeah, exactly. or I wasn't, like different than what I am when you listen to me.
Right.
Well,
that would be the ultimate if you could bring the same sort of purity of thought and.
Well, that's what I'm gunning for.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you that I am thrilled that you could make time for us. Honestly, I've been a fan for a very, very long time.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're a tremendous representative of how to do it right, in my opinion. And by that I mean share your thoughts in a humorous way, without self-editing, without any sort of cookie cutter or rules, and it's instantly admirable. So congratulations.
Oh my God, thank
on
you,
all
Kevin.
of it. And sorry about that.
What?
That was not easy for you to sit through.
Hey, no, it's weird, isn't it? Why is it being so nice? And I would say that the same thing about you.
Save it for when I come on your show.
Okay, you're going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
If I've invited myself properly.
Yeah, no, I want you to come on.
All right.
You have to come to the garage show.
It's official. I
All
look
right.
forward to coming to the garage.
Okay.
Is it in fact, that is the professional term, the garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I sensed.
Yeah, this is clearly a studio. Mine is a garage.
It's clearly a garage.
Oh, no, there's no doubt.
Well, if you had cameras, maybe.
Man, I thought about it, but then there's more people involved, and I have to, I don't know.
They only care about listening anyways.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
Because like they can take it anywhere, and I just, for me.
Our downloads in audio outnumber our video downloads like you can't even imagine.
No, I learned that with the show I did, is that I don't know that other than network television that people are sitting watching an internet-generated video product.
I also love the idea
for
that
more
they're
than-
taking us to the gym, they're taking us on the road. Thanks for saving me on a flight.
Oh yeah, they're taking us to funerals, to crying on planes. I mean, there's yeah.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
All right, sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up, if you would. Thank you so much. We are just out of time. I promised 7 o'clock, and it is 7 o'clock. And Larry King game is something that you'll need to do. You were threatened and warned. And this is the camera that you'll need to look into as a way to officially end the show. You understand the rules, I hope?
I know, you got to tell me again.
It's a bad Larry King impression, so there's no pressure there. I want a bad Larry King impression.
Okay.
And then that moment on the show where Larry shares something and we all go, whoa, I didn't need to know that.
Right.
So that's what I want from Larry, not from you sharing anything about yourself. It's really about Larry.
Okay.
And then go to the phones, and the name of the city should be maybe funny sounding.
Yeah?
Yeah, if it doesn't hurt. Poughkeepsie's taken.
Poughkeepsie's
But that's
taken?
what we're looking for.
All right.
When you're ready, sir.
I just do it?
Yep, just fire away. No wrong answer.
Do I just start with the monologue? Mm-hmm. Like I don't go, hi, I'm Larry King.
Well, it's one of those non sequitur things
Right.
that he would do like a bumper before
right.
going to the phone.
This afternoon, I had a mango colonic. A mango colonic and a nice drink of a protein drink that this lady made me, who I met right next to my house. I have no idea why she was there. Mango colonic. Bolinas.
Yes!
You're on.
Yes! I love it when the new city is dropped, and that was Bolinas. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Ever
you
so
sir.
much.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Excellent. Perfect. I thank my guests today and all of you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again here. Upcoming shows, the live one, and first time in front of an audience. We're very excited about it at the Sketchfest, Saturday the 5th. Adam Savage from the Mythbusters, and then there's a threading of potential big name. We'll have more to share soon. And happy birthday soon, Jamie. It's coming up. We're very excited for you. And I can't wait to...
Pushing 30.
Pushing 30. You're so close.
So close.
Math skills, 32. Just so
No.
everyone knows.
Reading skills, math skills.
That's why you're with a Jew.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Math skills are so good.
The crew has been out there these last... we're out of time, but I want to know what the crew's been up to for the last 90 minutes. Geez, I wonder if we had some sort of way of seeing into their world while they... Oh, somebody's making coffee. And
Somebody's making
yeah,
coffee
that's
there?
like it's a cup. You making that for the guest? No, you make it.
Oh,
wait a
what
minute,
is she-
Emily. Why would she?
Is she drugging him?
What the? This seems like a date rapey thing.
Oh,
and then
wait a
J-Mac
minute.
seems very happy as he pours in his
Maybe
milk.
that's your coffee, Kevin.
Oh wait, they're bringing that to me. No.
Oh no, wait, it's Nick's coffee.
Nick's coffee.
But why wouldn't J-Mac be in on it? I don't
All right,
understand.
thanks. It seems like J-Mac's always Wile E. Coyote, but this time, yeah.
Oh.
Spit take. Emily's happy and everybody wins. What is it? Well, full circle. What's the circle of life?
That wasn't phoned in at all.
No lions got killed. All right, we'll see you next time. Until then, and as always, get out of my face.
He's all of the rainbows, but none of the rain. He's dry, but he's an alcoholic. He's hosting this train wreck again and again. And he wears a hat. He's carrying